My friends, let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself praying and wondering if your words are truly reaching God? Maybe you felt like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, or that there's a disconnect between what you're saying and what you're hoping to receive. What if I told you that there's one crucial step one that most of us overlook that can transform your prayers into a powerful connection with the Almighty? This one act, my friends, can change everything. Before we dive in, let's pause and reflect on this truth. Prayer isn't just talking to God, it's about aligning your spirit with His. It's about creating a sacred moment where heaven and earth meet. And to make that connection, there's a step that must come first. Think about this when you prepare to meet someone important, a boss, a loved one, or even a guest in your home. You don't just show up unprepared, right? You tidy up, you gather your thoughts, and you make sure you're ready to give them your best. How much more should we prepare our hearts when approaching the Creator of the universe? The Bible gives us a clear picture of this. Psalm 24:3-4 asks, "Who may ascend the hill of the Lord? Who may stand in His holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart." Before we step into God's presence, there's a call to examine ourselves, our hearts, our motives, and even our distractions. Imagine this God is watching you right now, not with judgment, but with deep love and anticipation. He's waiting for you to step into His presence fully prepared to receive what He has for you. But here's the thing, preparation doesn't start with perfection, it starts with surrender. Before you pray, take a moment to pause. Stop what you're doing and breathe. Ask yourself, what's in my heart that doesn't belong in God's presence? It could be worry, anger, guilt, or even pride. Lay it down before Him. 1 John 1:9 reminds us, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and purify us from all unrighteousness. Confession is not about shame, it's about clearing the path for God to move freely in your life. Think of it like this: if you're trying to hear someone speak to you through a static-filled radio, the message gets distorted. But when you adjust the frequency, everything becomes clear. That's what this step does, it tunes your heart to God's voice. And then there's another layer to this gratitude. Before you ask God for anything, thank Him. Philippians 4:6 tells us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to who God is. It changes the posture of your prayer from desperation to faith. Now let's make it practical. The next time you prepare to pray, find a quiet place, your room, your car, or even a park bench. Close your eyes and say, "Lord, I'm here. Before I ask for anything, I surrender everything. Cleanse my heart, fill me with your peace, and guide me into your presence." This isn't about saying the right words, it's about inviting God to take over. And here's the most beautiful part: when you take this step, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. Your prayers will feel different, not rushed or rehearsed, but alive and deeply connected. You'll feel God's peace washing over you, His wisdom guiding you, and His presence surrounding you in ways that leave no doubt that He's with you. Remember, my friends, prayer is not just about speaking, it's about listening, trusting, and aligning your life with God's will. And this step, this sacred moment of preparation, is the key that unlocks it all. As you go forward, let me leave you with this thought: God longs to hear from you, but He also longs to prepare you for the blessings He's ready to pour out. Don't rush into prayer without first opening your heart to Him. This one step might seem small, but it can change everything. Before entering into prayer, it's vital to take a moment to address what may be lingering in your heart, those hidden feelings of guilt, resentment, or unresolved emotions that quietly weigh you down. These are the barriers that can cloud your connection with God, making your prayers feel distant or hollow. The Bible in 1 John 1:9 gives us a profound promise: if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. This isn't just a verse, it's a spiritual practice that can transform the way you approach God. Confession isn't about shame or dwelling on your mistakes. It's about stepping into God's grace with honesty and humility. Picture it like clearing a path, removing the stones and weeds that block the way to a flowing river. When you confess, you're not telling God something He doesn't already know. You're opening yourself to His forgiveness and love, allowing Him to work in your heart freely. Think of your daily life. Perhaps you've had moments where anger got the better of you, or maybe you've spoken words you regret. These moments, when unaddressed, can accumulate like heavy clouds, overshadowing your spirit. Confession is the act of releasing these burdens. It's as simple as saying, "Lord, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Help me to do better." This acknowledgement brings clarity and peace, allowing you to stand before God with a clean heart. This step also fosters humility, reminding us that we rely on God's mercy and not our own perfection. It's an opportunity to recognize His faithfulness. He forgives not because we deserve it, but because His love is unfailing. When you clear your heart before prayer, something remarkable happens. The weight lifts, and your connection with God becomes more intimate. You approach Him not as someone trying to prove yourself, but as a child returning to their loving Father. This act of confession prepares you to hear His voice more clearly and to align your desires with His will. So before you bow your head or speak a word in prayer, pause and reflect. Take a moment to confess and clear your heart. It's not just preparation, it's an invitation for God to meet you right where you are, transforming your prayer into a powerful encounter with His presence. Before you utter a single word of prayer, begin with gratitude. This step isn't just a formality, it's a transformative act that aligns your heart with God's goodness and lifts your spirit into His presence. Philippians 4:6 reminds us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Notice the emphasis. Thanksgiving is not just an add-on, it's foundational to effective prayer. Why is gratitude so important? It shifts your perspective. When life feels overwhelming and your mind is consumed by stress or challenges, gratitude reorients your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's missing or broken, it turns your attention to what God has already done. It's like opening a window in a dark room to let the sunlight in. Suddenly the shadows lose their grip, and you're reminded of the countless ways God has been faithful. Consider the everyday blessings we often overlook: the breath in your lungs, the shelter over your head, the relationships that sustain you, and the countless unseen ways God protects and provides. Starting your prayer with a simple, heartfelt thank you acknowledges these gifts and honors the giver. It says, "God, I see your hand in my life, even in the little things." Gratitude also strengthens your faith. When you recall how God has come through for you in the past, it builds confidence that He will do so again. Maybe you faced moments when a solution appeared just in time, or peace filled your heart in a chaotic situation. These memories become anchors in your prayer, reminding you of God's unwavering presence and power. Incorporating gratitude into your prayer doesn't have to be elaborate. Begin with a quiet reflection. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for loving me even when I fall short. Thank you for being my refuge and strength. Let your gratitude flow naturally, touching on the small and significant alike. When you start with thanksgiving, something profound happens. It softens your heart, opens your spirit, and invites God's peace to fill you. It transforms your prayer from a list of requests into an act of worship. By the time you present your needs, your focus has shifted from your worries to God's faithfulness, setting the tone for a prayer filled with hope and trust. Before approaching God in prayer, take a moment to create intentional stillness in your life. In a world buzzing with constant distractions, emails, notifications, responsibilities, stillness might feel like a luxury, but it's a necessity. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." That nearness begins when you intentionally quiet the noise around you and within you. Intentional stillness isn't just about physical silence, it's about preparing your heart and mind to meet with God. Think of it as creating sacred space. It's stepping away from the chaos of daily life, turning off the TV, putting your phone aside, and shutting out the clamor of the world. It's a deliberate act of setting apart time and focus for God, signaling to Him, "I'm here, fully present, and ready to hear from you." This practice aligns your spirit with His presence. Imagine walking into a room where someone you deeply respect is waiting to speak with you. Wouldn't you pause, collect your thoughts, and give them your undivided attention? Prayer is no different. When you center your mind and spirit, you create an environment where God's voice can be heard more clearly. To start, find a quiet place, a corner of your home, a bench in the park, or even your car. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. As you inhale, invite God's peace into your heart. As you exhale, release your worries and distractions. You don't need perfect circumstances, you just need a willing heart. This stillness prepares you for a deeper connection with God. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." In the stillness, you become aware of His presence and His sovereignty. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that your prayers become more than words, they become communion with the Almighty. As you make this a habit, you'll notice a shift in how you approach prayer. You'll find it easier to focus, your words will flow more sincerely, and your spirit will feel more attuned to God's leading. Intentional stillness is not just preparation, it's an act of reverence and an invitation for God to draw near, just as His word promises. Surrendering your burdens to God is a profound act of trust and faith. It's about taking all the anxieties, doubts, and fears that weigh on your heart and laying them at the feet of the one who is capable of carrying them. 1 Peter 5:7 beautifully reminds us, "Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you." This isn't just a suggestion, it's an invitation to experience God's care in the most intimate and transformative way. Think about the burdens you carry daily. Perhaps it's the stress of meeting expectations, the fear of an uncertain future, or the weight of past mistakes. These burdens can cloud your mind and create a barrier between you and God during prayer. But surrendering them isn't about ignoring or suppressing them, it's about releasing them into God's capable hands, trusting that He knows what to do with them. To begin, take a moment before you pray to identify the specific burdens you're holding on to. Speak them out loud or write them down as if you were handing them over to a trusted friend. Say, "Lord, I give you my fear about this situation," or "Father, take this worry that I can't seem to shake. Naming your burdens makes the act of surrender intentional and heartfelt. Surrender doesn't mean you'll have all the answers or that the challenges will disappear instantly. It means you're acknowledging that God's wisdom and power are far greater than your own. As you lay your burdens down, remember Jesus' words in Matthew 11:28-30, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." In surrendering, you trade your exhaustion for his rest, your confusion for his clarity, and your fear for his peace. This act of surrender opens your heart to receive God's direction. When you're not consumed by your burdens, you create space to hear his voice more clearly. It's a way of saying, "God, I trust you with my life and I'm ready to follow wherever you lead." In today's world, where we're often taught to carry our own weight and solve our own problems, surrendering can feel counterintuitive. But it's in surrender that you experience the fullness of God's care. Let go of the need to control everything and allow him to work in ways you cannot imagine. As you release your burdens, you'll find that your prayers become lighter, more focused, and filled with a deeper sense of peace. God doesn't just care about your struggles, he cares about you. Trust him to carry what you can't. Approaching God with worshipful reverence is more than a gesture, it's an intentional act of aligning your heart with his holiness. Isaiah 29:13 delivers a powerful reminder: "These people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." This verse warns against hollow rituals and invites us to engage with God sincerely, offering him our full attention and devotion. Prayer is not a casual conversation, it's an intimate encounter with the Creator of the universe. Think about that for a moment. You're entering into the presence of the one who spoke stars into existence, who knows every thought in your mind and every beat of your heart. To approach him with reverence means recognizing his majesty and responding with humility and awe. In daily life, this might look like pausing before you begin to pray. Take a moment to quiet your thoughts and acknowledge God's presence. Whisper a simple phrase like, "Lord, you are holy, and I come before you with a heart that seeks you." This sets the tone for your prayer, reminding you that it's not just about your requests, but about honoring him for who he is. Worshipful reverence also involves gratitude. Before asking for anything, express your thanks for what God has already done in your life. Philippians 4:6 encourages us to present your requests to God with thanksgiving. This shift in focus from self to God creates a spirit of worship that deepens your connection with him. Reflect on the difference between rushing into prayer versus coming prepared. It's like entering a sacred space. If you were meeting a king, you wouldn't rush in unprepared. How much more should we approach God with reverence? This isn't about formality, it's about authenticity. Your words don't have to be perfect, they just need to come from a heart that truly seeks him. When we approach God with worshipful reverence, we invite him to meet us in a profound way. It's not about impressing him with eloquence, it's about showing up with sincerity. This kind of preparation not only honors God, but also transforms your prayer life, turning it into a powerful act of worship that draws you closer to him. As you prepare to pray, remember that worshipful reverence isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. Engage fully, honor deeply, and let your prayer reflect the awe and love you have for the one who loves you infinitely more. Now, my friends, if this message spoke to your heart, I encourage you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, subscribe for more insights on living a faith-filled life, and join our community at Soul Scriptures. Together, let's keep growing closer to God, one step at a time.